As soon as fentanyl hit the scene, this one's dead, that one's dead. Found in the hotel room, face down in the apartment.
What happened that got you sober?
I overdosed on heroin in July of 2004. My story has kept me 100% humble. I've never let the successes that I've had over the years blow my head up. And if you didn't know that I was the owner of that restaurant, you would have thought I was a busboy, because that's what I did. No one would have ever thought Mikey C would be locked up at 25.
If there's someone listening right now, late teens, early 20s, what's a piece of advice you would have for them right now?
An entrepreneur straight out of New York City, Michael Chernow. What's cracking?
Very excited for this one. I've known about you for a while, and I'm sure if anyone's been on Instagram, they've seen your face all the time. Every time I've showed people, like, yeah, I'm about to interview Michael Chernow, they're like, who? They're like, oh yeah, I know that guy. So Michael Chernow, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. This is gonna be good, man, because I know you have a crazy story. It's inspiring, and I know your message is to really help people. So that's what we try to do. So we like having a shared conversation in that space. So
be excited for this.
I'm fired up.
Let's do it. Yeah. I want to start with your story, and where did addiction start for you? What was the moment that you realized, like, oh, I like this?
I mean, if I'm being totally honest, I think the first time I remember, it was the summer between 6th and 7th grade. And I was really good friends with this girl, Danny Nash. She was like my best friend. Her parents kind of took me in as their surrogate son. They had a house in the Hamptons. And nobody I grew up with really before that had a house in the Hamptons. I went to public school, but they had a house in Bridgehampton. And we would go out there, and her older sister was like a real hippie, Allie. I love that family. I love Allie and Danny. And I actually haven't really told this story much, but that summer, I mean, I was probably like 11 or 12. It's probably 12. And Danny's older sister, smoked a lot of weed. And so I remember we somehow got our hands on some weed. It was probably from Allie, and we went across the road, and there was like it was like these grassy like knolls, and there was nobody around, and we just smoked weed for the first time, and I fucking loved it. I loved it, and I knew that was like what I was going to be spending some time doing, and it kind of went from there, and I mean, it very quickly. I probably didn't smoke a ton of weed in junior high school, but I was definitely smoking a lot of cigarettes and like weed every now and again. And then when I got into high school, that's when, I started doing it. Freshman year, I remember the first time I took acid was at Roseland Ballroom for this rave that this dude took me to. And I had the best time ever. And, my life at home was pretty fucked up. My life at home was abuse. My father was very abusive. It was a violent place. It was not a safe place. My father was physically and mentally ill. My mother had also made the abnormal normal. She was abused by my father pretty badly. He didn't like beat the shit out of her, but like he would like grab her, shake her, throw her, and the verbal violence at the house was a lot. It was just growing up in that place. It was just not a safe environment. And so I always dipped out of there. I always found a way to like sleep over at friends' houses, like spend as much time out of the house as possible. But really, freshman year of high school was my first sort of, I would say, entryway into like what someone would potentially call drug reliance. I used it because I wanted to mute out, the stuff that I had been through already and the stuff that I was going through at home. And by the end of my freshman year in high school, because I think I'm inherently an entrepreneur, I very quickly realized that like people were going to Central Park and the Meadow to get like acid and mushrooms. And I was like, I'm going to take care of that for everybody. So I would get orders on like Wednesdays from people. Fridays I'd show up with, you know, a lot of shit. And it was like Friday after school, I'd just be, you know, I'd take care of everybody. And what I used to do is, specifically with acid, I would buy those burner CDs, you know, this is in the days of CDs. And I would buy the stacks of burner CDs and I'd pop out the back, and there was always like a sheet back there. And I'd pop out the back that the CD was sitting on, that black piece, and I'd pop that out and I'd put the acid in there and I'd pop it back in and I'd just write mixtape for Joan, mixtape for Sam.
Smart.
And that was how I was just like selling mixtapes on CD. And that was kind of how I did it in high school. And I just got into this, I just started, you know, that obviously pushed me into hanging out with, you know, less savory human beings. But they were my friends and we were teenagers and we would get a lot of trouble. But the drugs, over the next 2 or 3 years, you know, really it became like a pretty much daily occurrence for me. And I remember, you know, we used to go to the summer of 1995. We used to go to the Roxy on Friday nights. I mean, I was fucking 14, 15 years old. You know, I was going to the Limelight on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, or Tunnel on Tuesdays, Limelight on Wednesdays, and the Roxy on Fridays. And we would end up in Washington Square Park on Saturday mornings, you know, after the Roxy. We get out at like 5 o'clock in the morning. We'd all go to Washington Square and we continue the party there. And I remember being in that park really high and looking at whoever, I don't know who I said it to, but, you know, I looked at this guy and I was like, I'm like very happy to be addicted to chemicals. Like I said that, you know, and I just felt at that moment in my life, like, I think it was I really do believe that the alcohol and the drugs, and it was way more drugs early on because it was a lot easier to get drugs than it was to buy alcohol. So it was really party drugs, but it saved my life, actually, because I got put into a mental institution at 12 for trying to cut my wrists. And that was not done specifically because I was suicidal, but the pain of my abusive relationship with my father was so intense that I thought that maybe cutting my wrists would wake him up. And I did it in front of him. And so it was it's like a scene out of a movie, you know? We got into a fight. I called him into my bedroom and I had a scissor and I just went bam, bam. And my thought was, okay, this is going to be enough to get him to want to hug me. And like, I wanted a hug. I wanted a hug from my father. And he beat the shit out of me. And so when I went to school the next day, the social worker that I've already been going to, she was like, what's going on with your wrist? Because I had bandages on my wrist. Obviously, I didn't cut myself deep enough to die. You know, it was like a quick, like,
yeah.
But I told her what happened because I wanted a reaction from her, because I was thinking, oh, maybe if I tell her, she'll have to call my father in and be like, what are you doing to this kid? But instead, which I didn't think was going to happen, but I didn't know, I was 12 years old. They sent me immediately to get evaluated at Payne Whitney. And so when I got there, the doctors sat me down and they were like, so do you want to die? Are you at risk of harming yourself? And I looked at these doctors and I told them what was going on at home. And I said, no, I don't want to die. If I wanted to die, I would have cut myself a lot deeper than I did. This was a cry for help. Like, I wanted my father to love me. So right at that time is when these kind of drugs came into my life that actually gave me an opportunity to medicate the pain that I was dealing with and numb out the insecurity and the self-doubt that, like, I didn't want to kill myself, but who knows, maybe a few months beyond that without using substances, I would have just done it.
Wow.
And I'm grateful for finding drugs at that time. And I'm not saying that for anybody here listening. You're like, oh yeah, that's but I am just being real.
Interrupting this episode to share with you that Creatures of Habit finally launched our protein bar. It's called the Daily Bar. It's made with 20 grams of plant-based protein, 3 grams of creatine. Yes, you heard that right. It also has 3 grams of creatine. It is incredibly tasty and clean as a whistle. All clean ingredients. Take this opportunity. Hop over to creaturesofhabit.com. That's creaturesofhabit.com with a K, and use code KOHPOD20 at checkout for 20% off your first order. Back to the pod.
I think being 12 years old and being that self-aware of going to the hospital and be like, no, I didn't want to kill myself. I just wanted love from my father is amazing. Like that's, I don't know. 12-year-olds ain't thinking like that nowadays. It's way different.
No.
You
And
know?
then to
But
turn
can I say something though? And I think this is important for parents. Now being a father myself, I have 2 sons. I've got a 10-year-old son and an 8-year-old son. And what I have learned from my journey and also now being a dad is very simple. So parents, turn the volume up on this. All these kids want in life at that age is their parents' attention. That's it. That's all they care about. You know, they might love getting a pile of presents on Christmas. They might love going on vacation, and they might love going skiing or snowboarding, or by far and away setting that child up for success is paying attention to them when you're in the room with them. That doesn't mean that like I'm a busy guy, I travel. That doesn't mean that like, oh man, like I gotta be there 100% all the time, because it's just like a fact, right? Like busy parents have to work late, have to travel, whatever it is. But when you're there, attention is all they care about. And I didn't get that at all. My mother was working her ass off. She was a secretary in a dentist's office for years and years. She'd get to work at 7 a.m., she'd leave at 7 p.m. My father had nothing to do with our childhood outside of bring pain and destruction. So it was left up to me to figure out how I was gonna find the love that I was looking for. And by the way, my mom, I love my mother. My mother and I have a great relationship. And my mom tried her best, but she was diagnosed with abused wife syndrome. She was also caught in the crossfire here, you know? So I just want to say to parents, you know, like if the one most, go to the fucking games, go to the practices, pick them up from school, drop them off from school, go do things together. It doesn't have to be expensive. It doesn't have to be fancy. But like the kids want attention. And I know that because of my childhood. Maybe I wouldn't have known that had I not gone through the things that I've went through. But ultimately now as a father and a parent, I pour my life into those boys. I coach both of their teams in all of their sports. I go to every single practice and every single game. If I'm not coaching it, I'm there on the sidelines. And I drop them off at school. My wife picks them up from school. I put them down every other night because my wife and I split that up. These are the things that I didn't get as a kid. And I can't blame my 10-year, 11-year destruction path to almost death from an overdose. I can't blame that on my father. But I could certainly tell you that it was fuel. It was major fuel to my fire, you know?
Yeah, it was a catalyst. Yeah, it's scary because we don't see it when we're kids of how much this is shaping our teens to our early 20s, the things that we're going through. And I've seen it a lot. Like I lost my mom when I was 12. So right around that time where you're going through a lot, like I went through a lot. And I've had kids that I grew up with that lost a parent at that age too. You can always go down the better road. And to judge a 12-year-old at that time, you can't. And especially to look back at the 12-year-old mind, it's like, you don't know what you're doing. You have no idea how this is going to affect you in 5, 10, 15 years from now. But it's so crazy how like these big things that happen to you, these micro decisions that was a catalyst, change your future. You know, I didn't go into drugs and stuff like that. I could have ran from the pain. I could have done that. But like my dad was great. Right. So like that was a huge thing for me where like my dad was my coach. He would take me to all my practices and train me and pay for the sports. Right. Like I had that support. So I didn't have to do that. Kids that I know that lost a parent that didn't have support because maybe they lost their father and then the mom was going through it. They started hanging out with the wrong crew, started doing the drugs, and now you look at them and it's like, damn, same thing, but we went two different ways.
The other thing also to just be mindful of is like, you know, by the time I was 12 and I had gone through a lot of shit already, I was self-aware enough to be able to sit down with those doctors and be like, hey, this is the situation. But at 8, I wouldn't have been able to tell you that I needed love from my father. Like you don't know as a young kid.
No.
I had the first real difficult conversation with my son last week. The first one where he really, and it made me so, even though it was hard to hear from him, it made me so happy that my son at 10 felt comfortable enough to say, Dad, can I talk to you about something that's really bothering me? I was like, oh. And it was right as he was going to bed and his younger brother was asleep and he was crying and he was like, I don't feel like I fit in because I'm short. And man, at that moment, I would have cut my fucking hand off to give him 6 inches right there. I would have just, God, take this hand, give that boy 6 inches. Because he is, you know, he is on the shorter side. I'm a short guy. My wife is taller than 2.5 inches taller than me. His younger brother is 2.5 years younger than him, is taller than him. So he had this moment with me that was just moving, dude. He was telling me something, that a real feeling that was like digging at him. And, you know, we walked through it together, but it made me so happy to know that like he's having these hard, tough emotions, having these hard feelings. And he felt comfortable enough to take me and talk to me about it. I was not there at that age. And it's because I know firsthand that if I'm not paying attention to my son when he addresses me, when he talks to me, I'm missing the boat, man. Yeah. You know?
Yeah, it's a testament to how good of a father you are. You know?
Yeah.
For his son to be that young and to bring something up like that's bothering him.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I wanna fast forward a little bit to where your story gets a little darker and you're working at the restaurant. And when did you realize that, like, yeah, drugs and alcohol, it was fun in the beginning and it seemed harmless, and then it slowly you started to realize you had a problem? Was it around this, you know, early 20s age where it became survival at this point instead of just like this recreational escape?
No. I went to my first outpatient rehab when I was 16. I went to my first AA meeting when I was 16.
Wow.
I knew that young that this was a problem.
Wow.
I just knew it was a problem based on how much I was doing it. When I did it, I didn't want to stop ever, so I would want to go for days. And I just knew that it was an issue. Now, I grew up in Manhattan, so I gravitated towards the kids that were doing that too. So we all kind of had this awareness that like, this isn't good. But we were all also kids, you know, 16, 17, just going hard and partying, you know,
Yeah,
like
to be a senior in high school and then have the self-awareness to be like, I'm gonna have a problem, I gotta go to AA is insane to me.
Yeah, well, you know, it was also the time, like, if you really think about it, right? Like, it was 1997, 98. Like, I was part of the kids era.
It was a different time.
Well,
Were you
you know
in Lower
that
Manhattan?
I grew up all over. I grew up on 87th Street and First Avenue, and by the time I was 15, I'd moved out of my parents' house. And so I moved to 9th Street between B and C, and then I moved out to Brooklyn, and then I moved back to the East Village. So I lived kind of like all over the city between Manhattan and Brooklyn. But the kids I hung out with from like, 13, 14 on was like Harold Hunter, and that crew. And they were older than me, but I just kind of ended up in that circle, and we just did not care much. So I think when I really started realizing it was like 16, 17, and I had a couple of friends that were just actually getting sober. Like I have friends who are sober now. I'm sober 21 years, but I have friends who are sober like 32 years that got sober 10 years before I did. And then I got a lot of friends that are dead. A lot. Like a lot. Half of the friends that I had as a kid who went down the same path as I are dead. And they all died really. I got lucky and got sober young, just before my 24th birthday.
Oh, wow.
But those kids stuck around with it for a while. And the first one to go, like we started seeing things happen with like Dash Snow and, Kenji and Moose and like kids started dropping in like the 2007, 8. Things started, like people started dying. And that's kind of when Oxycontins came in, and the everybody's addiction graduated from like coke and alcohol to pills and heroin eventually. And then as soon as fentanyl hit the scene, it was like I was getting a call every 2 months that like, this one's dead, this one's dead, that one's dead. Found in the hotel room, face down in the apartment, and fentanyl was the one that would show up in the toxicology report.
Yeah.
So
What was your closest near-death experience?
I overdosed on heroin in July of 2004, the summer of 2004. And the girl that I was with was too afraid to call the ambulance. And I knew it was happening when it was happening, because I'd never felt like that before. And so I was sitting on the edge of the bed. I was naked. There was a mirror on the headboard. We had been doing heroin. I looked over to my right and I saw my image in the mirror on the headboard. And from my forehead to my toes was white like paper. And I had never seen that before. I've looked in the mirror and I'd be gray and green and pale. But I'd never seen like my chest, my stomach, my legs, everything white. And so when I saw that, I like looked at my body to like check that, and it was. And so I jumped up because I was terrified. I was like, this is bad. I jumped up like that and boom, out. And I remember like kind of like being like, call the ambulance. She dragged me into the bathroom and put me on my back in the bathtub and turned on the cold water. And she was crying, and I was in and out of consciousness. And, I think she let the water run on me for, 20 minutes. Luckily, I didn't, she said I stopped breathing. Luckily, I didn't die. But that was the closest. And I'd had other experiences where like I felt like my heart was going to pop out of my chest and, things like that when you're using stimulants and up for days, no food, probably no water. I used to drink a lot of Orangina. That was my drink. I used to go to the corner. I'd be like, let me get 5 Oranginas. But yeah, that was the worst. And I got sober 2 weeks after that.
So then what's going through your mind between those 2 weeks before you got sober? Like, what's the next day look like when you kind of come back to your senses?
When I left that apartment, I swore to God that I would never use drugs again. And I was like, dude, you've got way too much to offer. Like, you literally just flatlined. This is insane. And obviously I'm talking about it kind of calmly now, but in my head, it was racing. Like, you just died, Mike. How could you have let this get this bad? Imagine you died. Imagine what would have, And then 4 hours later, I was using again. I didn't know how to stop. I just didn't know that there was a way. There was a couple of steps I could have taken in between me thinking about using and using. That's the difference in being sober and being an active addiction. You know, like there's just a few things you got to do between the thought and then the use.
And you were 24.
I was 23. So I turned 24 in October and I got sober in August. So it was like right before my 24th birthday.
Wow.
But basically I was using again, and whether it was that next day or that night, I don't know, you know, it's a blur. But I basically said, all right, dude, you don't have the balls to kill yourself. So you might as well just, you know, you cannot get sober. You don't know how to do that. You might as well just go as hard as you can until it's over. Like you just almost ended it. You didn't really feel terrible. Like if you would have died, it wouldn't have been like a massively painful thing.
Right.
Just go hard and it'll end soon.
Go harder on the drugs.
Yeah, just whatever you can do.
Whatever
Just-
happens, happens.
So then what happened that got you sober if it was so difficult in that moment to realize, fuck, I don't even know how to get sober. I'm just going to keep on going.
So about 2 weeks after that, it was I really don't remember what happened in those 2 weeks, but I know it was bad and dark and ugly and violent. And at the end of my using days, I was violent. I was getting into fights everywhere I went. I was the small guy that would be the first one to tee off always. And I got 86 from every bar in the Lower East Side. If I would show up, they would just be like, fuck. And it was bad. But I wasn't alone. I had a right-hand man always, you know, and we were always partying the same way and getting into the same fights and creating the same trouble. And I got away with murder, you know. Those last few years, just the things that I did, the fact that I'm not doing a bid is insane. But thank God for that. I was with two guys, one of them who is now sober. One of them somehow, some way is not sober. He's not dead and he's not in jail, but he's not sober. So this dude somehow figured out a way to like moderate it, I guess.
Keep it going.
I don't know how. He's one of the few, you know, because most of the guys, because he did not go light. He and I, anyway, we were up for a few days. We were on the roof of my apartment building. Those two guys were like, okay, I'm calling it a night. It's done. I'm going home. And I was not ready to go home. And so they went home. I walked downstairs into my apartment. And again, I caught a glimpse of myself in the wall mirror right behind my bedroom door. And I had drugs on me. I had beer. And I was like, I'm just going to keep going. You know, I'm going to keep going because that was like what I had basically committed to. You know, like I'm going to just try to figure out how to end it this way without having to like jump out the window. But then I caught a glimpse of myself in the mirror and I looked at myself, probably had a hard time looking at myself in the eyes, but I was disgusted with the guy I saw. I was disgusted. I was like, dude, you are the biggest piece of shit on the planet. Like you should just open the window and jump. Just do it. Just do it. Get it over with, man. Just do it. And I proceeded to like put back a lot of alcohol, thinking I get drunk enough to just have the courage to do it. And I ended up blacking out. And I woke up 16 hours later. I had slept through work because I always had a legit job. Even though I was selling lots of drugs, I always kept a legit job in a restaurant. And I had slept through work. And, you know, I also want to paint this picture that like internally I hated myself, but I always also managed to like preserve this persona of someone that kind of like was this downtown.
You were functioning.
I was functioning. I was functioning, but to the people that were associated with me, I was functioning.
Well, in the restaurant industry, you know,
functioning.
It's quick. It's fast. It's let me take a shot and get right back to it. I mean, I worked in restaurants 6 years.
Yeah.
I
So,
get
you know, that's kind of like the way it was. And so people really did love me too. It wasn't like I was just this like, you know, criminal maniac.
Junkie.
Yeah, you weren't
people,
a degenerate.
yeah.
You were functioning. You had a job.
I was a degenerate, and people
Yeah,
used to
but-
call me a degenerate.
I mean, yeah, people
But
that
I was
loved you
fine.
though.
Yeah, they
so I
loved me.
get-
They
yeah,
loved me.
yeah,
Like a
yeah,
lot.
yeah.
I had a lot. I had a lot of friends.
They
So
knew
they
you
were-
meant well, though.
Oh, I'm the same guy.
That's what I'm
My
saying.
heart is of
Yeah.
gold. I got a heart of gold.
Yeah.
And everybody saw that. They just wished I would have gotten sober. You know, they wished I would have gotten sober. So anyway, so I slept through work, and Frank, the owner of that restaurant, was like a surrogate dad for me. Like I looked up to him so much because he had built such a great place, and the restaurant was so dope, and I loved my job. And I called him up, and I was like, "Oh man, I'm sorry, dude." He's like, "Mikey, I love you, but this has happened too many times, man. You're dying, bro. Like you know it. Everybody knows it. Like I can't let you continue working here. You got to get sober, dude. You got to get your life together. You're too young for this to like be such an issue." And for whatever reason, I'd like to call it the grace of God showed up in my life. I heard him. So many people have tapped me on the shoulder over the years and been like, "Mikey, it's not looking good, dude. You should consider getting sober." And I would always hear them, but not take the bait. Frank said it, and I heard it, and I begged him for my job. I said, "Dude, I'll get sober. Please don't fire me. This is the only thing I have in my life. I love my job." And he was like, "Look, man, if you come to the restaurant at 8 o'clock in the morning and clean it with the porters, you can have your job. But you got to get sober." Like I begged him for my job. And I think he just felt like, all right, I'm going to give this kid one more chance. And so I made a phone call to my friend Karen, who was like kind of like an older sister figure to me. She used to take me in when I was down and out. She was also mega hot, and I had a massive crush on her. And I knew that she was sober. She had gotten sober eventually. And I called her and I was like, "Hey, Karen, I'm like ready to throw in the towel here. Like I'm dying. I'm going to die. Please, like, I don't know what to do. You're the only person I know that I trust that is sober." And she's like, "Don't move. Where are you?" And I was like, "I'm at home." She was like, "Don't move." And so she called her boyfriend, Marcus, who just showed up and saved my life, dude. This guy fucking swooped in. Tough dude. Like I felt immediately like I wanted to make him my older brother. He listened to me for hours, tell my story. He told me he can help me, and I haven't had a drink or a drug from that day.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
It's awesome.
It's crazy.
It's wild.
It's a long time, you know, but that dude taught me about, he really gave me a master class in the first few weeks of being sober. He wrote a plan for me, hour by hour, structured. And I was so desperate. I didn't, you know, it's so crazy that you asked that question. Like, what, like, so like, how did you just figure, you know, like what was different that day? And I could honestly say, like, I don't know outside of this. I really believe that God was there for me. I do. I believe God like was like, okay, this kid is actually ready. I'm going to send in Frank. I'm going to send in Marcus. I'm going to fucking set him up.
Yeah.
And I'm going to give him a field to play on, you know.
Well, it just sounds like Frank was the dad that you never had. So you finally had an alpha role model tell you, "Yo," and you were like, "Oh shit."
And you
Yeah.
can tell he
You
cared.
know, somebody that cared.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and he cared. And Marcus really cared. They both cared. And by the, you know, they're both, Frank is still partying his ass off, but he's still a figure in my life that I'll never, ever be able to repay, that I love more than anything. And Marcus is like, I speak to Frank probably once every 6 to 8 months. I speak to Marcus like once a week, you know, once every couple of weeks. Marcus is still my brother.
And so you didn't go to rehab. You did it.
No.
Let's talk about that, because I feel like that's not a normal way to get sober. For the most part, you hear people, they go to rehab or they go to AA. What was that like?
Yeah, so Marcus came in, listened to me for a few hours, and he said, "Dude, I'm gonna be able to help you. Like, you're young enough. Like, I got you." And he was like, "You know, I'm going to write a plan. And if you follow the plan, the chances of success and like unstoppable potential are great. You don't follow the plan, I'm not going to chase you. You'll be dead soon. You know, like it's up to you. It's kind of like the way I see it.
Wow.
And so he wrote this plan, and it was basically like, here's what I want you to do. I want you to wake up as early as you can in the morning. And as soon as you get up, you open your eyes, you don't roll around, you don't fuck around, you don't hit snooze. You jump out of bed, you turn around, and you make the bed. Done making the bed, you're gonna go to the bathroom. Take a piss, wash your face, brush your teeth, put on your contact lenses, and then get on your hands and knees and ask God for help. It's like, I don't care if you believe, if you don't believe, if it's the first time you've ever prayed, doesn't matter to me. You need help. This is the best way to start getting comfortable asking for help. Starting your day with that. That's what I want you to do. And as soon as you're done prayers, I want you to do as many push-ups as you can. And then when you're done with that, I want you to put on a pair of sneakers, have a glass of water, and then go outside and take a walk. It could be a block. It could be a mile. Just get outside, get some fresh air in the morning, move your body, get the blood flowing. And then when you get back, I want you to start eating oatmeal every morning. And so he was giving me this nutritional plan too. He's like, I want you to eat oatmeal. It's easy, it's inexpensive, it's satiating, it's healthy, and you can add whatever you want to it, make it taste like any way you want. You put maple syrup on it, nuts, berries, seeds, whatever you want to put in it. Just get yourself a big bowl of oatmeal first thing in the morning. When you're done with the oatmeal, head out to 12th Street, and I want you to go to that sober community meeting, an Alcoholics Anonymous meeting, and I want you to tell them who you are and why you're there. And you'll say, my name is Michael and I'm an alcoholic. And I was cool with that because I knew I was. You know, I wasn't one of these people that was like in denial of it. I knew since I was a kid. And then he said, once you're done with that meeting, you're going to meet me at this gym, this Muay Thai kickboxing academy, and I'm going to teach you how to be a man. I'm going to teach you what it means to get back up, and I'm going to teach you about commitment, consistency, and I'm going to teach you about mental toughness through physical toughness. And he says, we're going to train for an hour and a half to 2 hours from, 11:30 until 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And then you're going to leave. You're going to have chicken and broccoli for lunch. You're going to go to work. You're going to have chicken and broccoli for dinner, ideally before 9 p.m. And then you're going to try to get home and get to bed as early as you can. For me at that time was like 1 o'clock in the morning. And then he said, right before you go to bed, you're going to drop back down on your knees next to your bed. You're going to thank God for keeping you sober. You're going to undress. You're going to get into your bed. You're going to put your head on the pillow. Doesn't matter if you're tired or not. And you're going to close your eyes until you fall asleep. And if you can do that, you'll build a life way beyond anything you fucking think is possible. And he was right. I still do that. That's my plan. That's what I do. And
was it difficult to still work in the restaurant during this time?
The interesting thing is, I think because of how dark my life was and just how the stars aligned for me with Marcus coming in, I wanted to impress him. A guy showed up in my life that I wanted to impress. I wanted a pat on the back from him. I needed his validation. And I wouldn't say that that's the healthiest way to live life on a regular basis, but I do believe that there are phases and times in life as we're coming up and developing that having somebody that you're chasing, having somebody that you want to impress, having someone that you really want to mentor you, fucking very important.
Yeah.
Because of that desire, no, I didn't care about alcohol. It was crazy. But again, right? Like I faith is something that is very important to me, and it wasn't before I got sober. I had none. But I do believe in God, and I do believe that God showed up. I don't know how else to say it.
Yeah,
I had no interest in drinking alcohol or using drugs. And I remember in September of that year, I got sober August 2nd. And I remember like 30 days in, I was in my apartment, same apartment that I used to smoke crack in, same apartment that I used to do drugs in all day, all night. dark memories in there. It was a hot September, I remember, and it was like early September, and I had the AC cranking in my apartment, and I was lying on my back in the middle of the living room on the floor, like spread out, lying on my back, sober 30 days, give or take, and for the first time, I felt freedom. First time in my life, legit, and I felt free, and I remember feeling that, like, wow, I am not fucking locked up behind these bars anymore. Like, what was I doing? You know?
And you never look back. It's amazing.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It's a movie. Nobody's come to you yet? Trying to write a movie or something? What's up? You know what I mean?
What do you think the biggest misconception is about addiction to people that don't struggle with it?
That all you got to do is stop. Just stop.
Mm-hmm.
Just stop. What are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
Every single drug addict that I know that's beyond, that one would say is beyond repair, has no interest in doing what they're doing. They hate it. And I've worked with a lot of addicts over the years. You ask them, are you happy with your life? I hate my life. I hate myself. I hate my life. I want to die. So the thought process of, oh yeah, just stop, is really difficult. Now, the part of that I know to be true is that it is just stop.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, that is the truth.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Like, but it's just so it's much easier said than done,
It's not as
because
simple as just stop.
yeah, you just, you know, like, you live your life with a you know, a safety net for everything. It's just, oh, you feel bad, boom, I feel better. Oh, you feel good, boom, I feel great. Oh, you don't feel anything, boom, I feel better. You know, complete control over how you feel for a short period of time.
Yeah.
Quick, short period of time. 20 minutes, 30 minutes, and then you got, boom, you got to do it again. And when you have control over that, it's very, very difficult to just like let go. You know? But that's where the nutrition and the fitness have come into my life and saved me, is that now I know I've got control over wins that I want every day. If I want to win, I know what I got to do. I got to eat healthy. I got to train hard. I got to tell people I love them. Yeah. I win that way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I remember hearing Theo Von talk about that, because I think he struggled with cocaine addiction for a while. And he said someone that uses like that and can't stop, they probably lack a lot of control in other aspects of their life.
Mm-hmm.
But he goes, that is the one thing that I can control. And it is crazy that even though it's not good for you, that sense of not feeling like you have control of your life and all the other aspects for that short amount of time, it's like, all right, well, at least like I know how I'm going to feel.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in control of this. I'm choosing to do it. And
nothing else matters. Nothing else matters for that period. Like, the pursuit of getting it and the act of doing it and the 15, 20-minute outcome of doing it, that period of time, nothing else matters in life.
Mm-hmm.
It's just everything is out the window.
and you'll do whatever it takes to get it.
Whatever it takes. I've done some crazy shit, you know, whatever it takes. And so the perception from the person that's never dealt with it or had somebody close to them that that have had the experience is a waste of flesh. You know, Look at that bum. I walk around with those protein bars and I give them out to homeless people. I have conversations with these guys. I had a conversation with a guy this morning waiting for the F train. This guy nobody's ever walked up to this guy to talk to him. He stunk like a sewer. I walk up to him. I say, hey man, I'm gonna give you a couple of protein bars. These things are awesome. He looks and he reads the branding and he goes, and I was like, when was the last time you had a protein bar? I don't know, man. You know, these guys are they're humans. They're people. That guy would be that guy could be you or me. Made a couple of bad decisions, you know. Couldn't get out of his own way. So that is the misconception. That kid, that guy, that whatever he was, 60-year-old dude, was a kid. Had parents. Maybe he didn't. Maybe he grew up in the system. Like, who knows? But you know, it's not like people that are relying on substances. They didn't plan it to be that way. And there is a solution. It's just a hard one for people to believe is possible. But this is why I'm so grateful that you guys have me on the podcast, but this is my mission in life. I've had a crazy story and I tell it as much as possible. I launched my business because I wanted to be able to use my business as a platform to tell this story. That yes, it is painful to get sober, but yes, on the other side of that coin is freedom and like unstoppable potential. Truly. You took, I forgot that guy's name. There's this that gambler with the tattoos all over his
Mickey
face.
Mays.
Mickey Mays. Like if you took that guy, one of the biggest gambling man in the world, and you put a picture of me at 23 years old prior to getting sober, and took a picture of me now with like my family, be like, what are the chances of that happening? He'd be like, none. Like, would you bet money on that? No. You know?
Yeah.
And so the possibilities are, I've seen miracles happen, you know, like crazy miracles.
Because you are one, in a way, right?
I believe that. I am, you know.
Let's lean into the relationships real quick. I know we kind of spoke about it off camera. When did you meet your wife and how did that happen?
So I met my wife 9 months after I got sober.
Wow.
So when I say like God was like throwing things at me, I mean, my wife is so out of my league, like so out of my league. And I'm not just saying that because the chances of her listening to this podcast, first of all, are very slim. She doesn't listen to podcasts. I'm not saying that because I'm saying that because it's a fact. Dude, my wife was a fucking supermodel when I met her. You know, I mean, she's not a supermodel anymore, but like she was 22, I was 25. Yeah, 9 months after I got sober, she came into I was bartending. She walked into the restaurant. And now, mind you, at this point, 9 months in, I was a totally different person. I mean, night and day different from when I got sober. I was in insane shape. I was like high on life. Things were just working. I was a totally different person. And so I think that obviously has something to do with how I was perceived. But anyway, Donna and Linda, her best friend, and these two guys walked into the bar. Half of the restaurant is a bar, the other half is the restaurant. They walked in and I saw them and I was like, wow, okay. I mean, there were really hot girls that walked into this place, but I was like, wow, they're fucking hot. And if you model walks in the room, you know immediately, oh yeah, that's like some hot model.
Yeah.
Anyway, they come in, they walk in. There were two dudes, so I'm like, all right, dude, don't put out that energy. They're off the market. They sit down at the bar, they order a couple of beers, the guys, then they end up going and sitting down in the restaurant. They have dinner in the restaurant, and then like an hour later, I see the dudes walk out. And I was like, all right. And then 10 minutes behind them, Donna and Linda come sit down at the bar. And they're giddy. They're like really interested in talking and like, you know, chewing it up. And I was like, all right, I mean, maybe those weren't the boyfriends, you know? And so they end up hanging out at the bar from 10 o'clock to like closing time, to like 1 a.m. And it was Donna's birthday. Her birthday's on April 25th, and it was 2 days before her birthday. And so as we were just like the conversation, you know, the restaurant was slowing down. They hung out. I was giving them espresso martinis. They were getting toasty. And, you know, like I was like, if I don't take the opportunity to ask this girl out, I will kick myself in the ass because I felt like that was like a once in a lifetime chance with this beautiful girl who was so cool. And so she was like, yeah, it's my birthday on Friday, it was a Wednesday night. I was like, Donna, you just gotta let me just take you out. Like I'm like the New York City restaurant king. Let me take you to the best restaurants, and then we'll have the best molten chocolate cake in the city to celebrate your birthday. And she looked at me and she goes, do you think that I don't have plans on my birthday? My birthday's in 2 days. You think that I just don't have anything planned? And I was like, good point. I was like, I'm off tomorrow. Let me take you out on a late night date, and at midnight, we'll celebrate your birthday. She was like, okay, I like that. I was like, great. Now, mind you, they were sitting down at the bar. I'm standing behind the bar. I'm a whopping 5'8". Donna's like 5'11" and a half. My wife, she's tall. So I go to pick her up the next night, and she's like in heels. She comes walking up, and I'm like, oh man, this shit ain't gonna work. No chance. Like she could like put her arm around me, you know? But we had the best night. We had the best date. I took her to Blue Ribbon Brasserie, oysters for the first time. We had the molten chocolate cake at midnight. I knew everybody over there, so they took really good care of me. And then we went to Cafe Regio in the West Village, and we like made out for like 2 hours. And I dropped her off. And I was like, this is it. I met the woman of my dreams. Like, we just had the best night out. And then she just ghosted my ass. Just ghosted me. Wow. No response to text, no text. Mm-hmm. And I was like, of course this happens this way, you know? Of course this would be the way it happens. And so I kind of just like, after a week and a half, I texted her a few times. I gave up. And then like a few days later, I got a text from her, and she was like, hey, I'm at Little Frankie's. Come meet me. And I like stopped everything I was doing. I called out of my shift at work, and I met her there, and that was it. Tied at the hip ever since.
Wow.
And 3 months in, I was like, I'm going to marry this girl. Like, I knew it. No one would have ever thought that Mikey C would be locked up at 25, but I just knew it. Mm-hmm. And so I called my grandfather, and I was like, hey, I'm going to marry this girl. And he's like, what girl? And I was like, my girlfriend, Donna. He's like, oh, your girlfriend, Donna? He's like, how long have you been with Donna? I was like, 3 months. He was like, Mike, don't ask her to marry you right now. Live with her for a year. If you feel the same way in a year, you got my blessing. And, you know, my grandfather, who's my father's father, was actually another figure in my life that I really looked up to. I really wanted to impress. Even though he was tough, like he did love me, and he was a good grandfather. So I took his advice, lived with her. I said to that night, I was like, hey, babe, let's get an apartment. We got an apartment a couple of months later, and we lived together for 11 months. And I asked her to marry me. That was it, you know? So, yeah.
His advice was good.
His advice was good.
Why in sobriety do they tell you not to date in the first year?
Because if someone breaks your heart, it's a very easy excuse to go out and get drunk.
That was going to be my question. When she ghosted you, did you almost fall off the wagon a little bit?
It was only one date. Mm-hmm. Had it been, had it been 3 months,
Mm-hmm.
It's very, very slippery slope there, you know, you're walking on a mudslide. I do understand that philosophy. But I will say that my first sponsor, or not my first sponsor, my second sponsor knew that I was like dating this girl, and he was cool with it. But when I told him that I love her and I wanted to tell her that I loved her, he's like, you don't love her. He's like, you're newly sober, dude. You don't love her. And I'm like, dude, I love her. Actually, I'm telling you that. I've dated a lot of girls in my life. You know, at that point, I was a total slut. You know, I was like, this is different, man. I'm telling you. And he was like, well, I can't, look, you do what you got, do what you want to do. I can't sponsor you because I'm telling you what I think is, I'm telling you to make a decision based on my experience of sponsoring other guys and seeing guys fall off and die. Mm-hmm. I can't sponsor you. And I was like, okay, I understand that. Thank God I like didn't take his advice.
Right.
I literally met my soulmate. Like Donna is my wife. She's my partner. She's my soulmate. 21 years in a relationship, still madly in love with her, still madly attracted to her, still having sex. Like, we have 2 kids. She's the best mother I've ever experienced in my life. So, yeah, she's my rock.
I think it's a testament that once you get on the right road, God is gonna give you the right stops on that road, right? You know.
And how quickly were you open with her about your past, like being vulnerable and letting those walls down with her? Because I'm sure that
Day
was
one.
Day one. And how did she receive that?
Like a champ. I told her, look, I said, I'm sober. And at that point, I had become obsessed with Muay Thai kickboxing. So I said, I'm sober and I'm like a raw nerve. I'm afraid to have sex. I was like straight up with her. You know, I was like, I'm afraid to have sex. I'm learning about God. I train 3 hours a day to keep me from feeling like I need to use. And I'm structured as hell. My life is very structured right now. And she was like, great. She didn't have sex with me for a month. And she was so kind about it. She was like, I mean, you know, you could say what you want, right? But like that shit doesn't happen on a regular basis. You know, you meet someone who's just like an angel, so cool, strong. She's like a strong woman. And also is just like so willing to just like totally move at my speed, my pace, you know.
It's amazing.
Does she drink?
Oh yeah.
How is that for you?
I could care less.
Yeah, you going back to work as a bartender after being sober for however long.
I could care less.
Yeah.
And she, you know, my wife, you know, she has a glass of wine every night, sometimes two. When we go on vacation, she'll have a cut, you know, she'll get a little tipsy, which I love. You know, my wife, I'm sure, wishes that and you know, full transparency, sometimes I play a little game where I'm like, babe, you know, when the kids are out, kids are in college and we're empty nesters and we're in our 60s, like we'll have a bottle of wine in Capri. She's like, okay.
Yeah.
You know. And so she supports the shit out of me, you know. Of course, I'm sure she's not an addict or an alcoholic. Never had real experience with anyone that has been. My wife has never seen me have a drink or a drug. So, and I honestly think that is one of the most, probably that is a pillar as to why we've stayed together for so long. Because even if you're not an alcoholic or a heavy drinker, couples drink and get drunk together, they fight. You know, we don't have any of those irrational fights ever. Like we argue, we'll have a fight, but not because we're both drunk and saying shit to each other that we don't want to say. And that's a lot of relationships, you know. You get drunk, you say some shit you don't want to say. The other person's drunk, they fight back. You guys are now you're fighting over nothing because you just had too much. Yeah. You know.
Yeah. As someone that grew up kind of like yearning for love and like seeking it, obviously from a parent, it's different than a partner, but at the end of the day, it's still love. How has she like changed your perspective on love and what love is?
She taught me how to love.
She taught you how to love.
100%. Wow. She taught me how to love. She taught me what love is. My wife taught me that. And she did a really good job. Like a super good job. Because prior to her, I began to start learning to love myself. But because she showed up in my life, it was a great example of why I should love myself. That this person sees something in me. It just totally expedited my, now I could tell you without any shame, I fucking love the guy who's sitting in this chair right now. I do. And there's obviously days where I'm like, life sucks,
Of course.
you know, but I love this guy. And she taught me that she gave me the permission to love this guy. And then I understood how to truly love someone back, you know?
So do you think you have to love yourself to be able to properly love someone else?
I think you have to love yourself in order to receive love from someone else. Because if you don't love yourself, you won't believe that anybody else loves you.
Right. You don't think you're lovable.
You don't think you're lovable. So if you can learn to love yourself, then you can ultimately receive. And once you receive, there's only one thing that is reciprocated, right? Because receiving love feels so good. It makes you start to speak the love language.
Yeah.
So my wife gave me the confidence. I was already on the path of doing things like stacking my habits and giving me the confidence to love myself. And then my wife was the cherry on top where she said, no, you are a special person. And, you know, yeah.
It's awesome.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it's crazy just for someone that say looks on your Instagram, right, and stuff like that. Like you said, like Mickey May, like if you brought Mickey Mays, would you bet on that? Like everything, like your life right now, if someone were to just look at it from a bird's eye view, like it seems like, bro, it's perfect. Like you got businesses, you're yoked, you're an athlete, you have a beautiful model wife, you have children, you have family, you're doing what, you know. It's, if someone looked at it, that's why it's so hard to judge, because like someone could look at you and say all these things like, oh, he has a perfect life. He look at him, look at his Instagram, look at the way he carries himself, look at all that. And it's like, you don't even know. How do you, what does that do to you for like empathy with just other people in general? Like you were saying with the guy on the street, right? Like the homeless guy. And I know you're in this space of trying to help people. Like, were you a Marcus for someone else?
I've been a Marcus for so many because I know the power of that. I'm sitting here with you guys right now with the hopes that I can Marcus a couple of guys from this. My story has kept me 100% humble. I've never let the successes that I've had over the years blow my head up to the point where I'm not ready to drop down and do 50 with someone. You know, and I know, and there's a lot of guys like that. You know, like, you know, some of these guys that have been super duper successful in sobriety, you would never know their story unless they told it to you.
Yeah.
You know, but the humility is so real. I mean, you know, when I opened up my first business, the meatball shop, I was young, man. I was 20, just turned 29. And if you didn't know that I was the owner of that restaurant, you would have thought I was a busboy because that's what I did there. I ran around, grabbed tables, sat people, took orders, cooked meatballs, you know. I was like doing everything. And sometimes people would say, hey man, you kind of look like a busboy, you know, like a waiter. And I'd be like, yeah.
Yes, so.
Like that's who I am.
Yeah.
I spent my life in this world. It's like, what do you think? I'm all of a sudden going to come to work in a suit and a fucking gold Rolex?
Right.
Yeah, but I think people also get misconceptions that aren't business owners. They think once you open a business that you don't have to work anymore.
Or that you're like all of a sudden rich.
Well, that's it.
Yeah.
You know,
It's
they're
actually
like,
the opposite,
oh yeah,
really.
that guy owns a restaurant. He must be rich.
Yeah.
I'd be like, no, dude,
No,
I
all
pay
my money
myself
actually
50
goes back
grand.
into the restaurant.
Yeah.
If there's someone listening right now, late teens, early 20s, trying to get sober, they're really struggling with addiction, what's a piece of advice you would have for them right now?
The one thing. So I'll say two things. First and foremost, the only piece of the puzzle that you may be missing, if you're listening to me now, is the courage to actually ask for help. Asking for help saved my life 21 years and change ago, and now saves my life on a daily basis. asking for help is the one thing that a lot of humans struggle with, but specifically people that struggle with substance abuse struggle with. Genuinely asking for help. You think you can do it alone. And I'm here to tell you that asking for help is not a sign of weakness. Asking for help is a sign of strength. You're not going to do it alone. Hear me again, like, you are not going to do it alone. I don't know anybody who's done it alone and been successful. And then the second piece is there's only one thing that we have to do perfectly in life. Just one. And that's get back up. Mm-hmm. That's it. Mm-hmm. You're going to fail. You get back up. You're going to fail. You get back up. Mm-hmm. It's okay. Where you're at is okay. You're not dead, which means you have an opportunity to change. I am a changed human, a living, breathing, thriving example of someone who wanted to die desperately, who overdosed on drugs, who lived a lifestyle that I couldn't even fathom myself living today. Then I can't even believe some of the things that I did those days. And I have changed a day at a time. And all it took was for me to pick up the phone and call the right person. Mm-hmm. And then the stars aligned, you know? It's that first step of asking for help. And then when I would fail, you know, I surrounded myself with people, and you can find that in the community of the 12 steps. They'll reach out your hand. You know, it's like so hard to really, I think what it all boils down to is this life we live is about loving and being loved. It's a love game. The decisions that we make are all in a effort, the good ones and the bad ones, to love and be loved more. I drank because I didn't love myself. And when I drank, it made me feel a little bit more comfortable in my own skin. I cheated on my girlfriends because I was in fear of losing them, because I didn't think that they actually loved me. And so I did it in the name of love. I married my wife because I now understand what love is. I had children because I now understand what love is. I make mistakes in the name of love. I make great decisions in the name of love. It's a love game. We are one of the only beings on this planet that are capable of actually loving. Us, elephants, I think dolphins, and I think maybe penguins have this thing, maybe whales. Very few animals in the animal kingdom are capable of loving. It is what we're here to do, to love and multiply. So it's possible. It is 100% possible for everyone. I'm not a unique dude. I'm just not. Mm-hmm. I just had the courage to ask for help and continue to ask for help. So anybody who's out there thinking, oh, there's no possible way, you know, fentanyl has really fucked things up. Mm-hmm. But I've seen people come off of it and stay off of it. Yeah. So no matter how far down the road you think you are, no matter how far down that dry well, that barrel, you rob and steal and cheat all the time, you hate your life, all those things that you hate about yourself, I will put every dollar I've ever made on it that you can get sober and live a better life. Because I know it's true. I know it's possible for everyone. You know?
Yeah. Well, you're a living testimony.
Yep.
So
it's amazing.
Yeah, you have an inspiring story, brother. And keep inspiring, because
please,
you're helping people.
Thank you.
Yeah. Let's do I'm doing a live.
I was just about to say that.
Let's
Let's just plug the protein bar.
We have the Daily Bar, Creatures of Habit, 20 grams of protein. 3 grams of creatine,
Non-GMO.
non-GMO.
Branding's really cool.
Better habits, better life. Can people buy these in stores or it's strictly online?
So right now it's just on our website and Amazon.
Website and Amazon. Let's
Get it.
Oh my God.
And you guys are having the chocolate peanut butter banger. This is the cookie dough
That's
dazzler.
good texture.
Very good.
Get the other half of this. The other half of that.
And
That's
these
good.
things are seed oil free, sugar, alcohol free. So these are not going to make you run to the bathroom. You can eat them every day. It's a fucking treat, you know?
It tastes amazing.
I do protein bars every day. Every day.
Well,
Every
that-
day. That's my pre-workout. Stop at Vitamin Shop, buy one on the way to the gym. And you get a case of these.
And I love the branding. Did you
No,
do the
they're
branding?
good.
Thank you. I did it. I did the branding with these guys out here in Greenpoint called the Young Jerks. They're amazing.
I like the texture. I hate when a protein bar, like, I mean, I don't know. Whatever. I'm not, this is your comment. MedRx. It's so hard to bite down and chew them, and I'm chewing for 30 times and like hurting my teeth.
Bro, even that
These are soft, you know? Like
that
they
one
kinda
that just
dissolve.
went viral. What is it, like Dave's or something? I don't like it
They're
at all.
all right.
You know, no, I don't like it.
Yeah, the texture, it's like almost rubbery.
Yeah, I don't like it.
These are good.
These are amazing.
The difference between these bars and pretty much everything else out there, honestly. So I spent 2 years working on this bar. We launched the business with this high protein overnight oatmeal, and that goes back to my story with Marcus. Told me to eat the oats, and that's what I wanted to launch the business with, which kills it. But I was like, I want a protein bar, but I cannot commit to any protein bar because either A, I don't like the taste of them, the texture of them, or the ingredients suck so bad that like has me shitting my pants.
Yeah. All artificial nonsense.
It's just not doing what it's supposed to do.
Yeah.
This bar took me 2 years to make because what I learned is it's very difficult to make a clean protein bar without using all those crazy ingredients
Still have a
that
taste
taste good, that has good texture, and you want to eat every day. And we did it.
What flavor is that?
This is a cookie dough dazzler. Yeah.
No, it was amazing. Thank you, brother.
Thank you.
Yeah,
This is my
appreciate
third
you.
one today.
You're at 60 grams.
I ate a lot of protein bars.
60 grams of protein. Yeah, thank you, Michael Chernow. This was awesome.
great.
I'm sure this helped a lot of people.
Absolutely.
And yeah, like I said, just keep doing what you're doing because you're making an impact.
Thank you guys so much for having me.
Thank you, brother.
This was awesome.